Well, it is Contractor Fraud Awareness Week. The National Insurance Crime Bureau says contractor fraud often spikes after, you guessed it, major disasters. And, hurricane season coming up right around the corner, less than 2 weeks away, come June 1st. They say now is the time to prepare. Let's talk about all that and more with David Glawe, the president and CEO of the National Insurance Crime Bureau. David, good afternoon, sir. Nice to be with you today.
Thank you for having me.
So what is contractor fraud and what do these scams look like?
Yeah, so unfortunately, after a natural disaster, you've already been the victim of that catastrophic event. And it's $115 billion last year, and 23 catastrophic events flowed into states to help people rebuild their lives. Just to give you a theme of how many catastrophic events we have one every 16 days in the United States compared to one every 82 days in the 1980s. And with that money that flows into communities, these organized criminal enterprise target the victims of the natural disaster to go after the money. And unfortunately, in Georgia, you're number 5 for contractor fraud across the United States.
God, number 5. Why do you think that is? Is it just because of how susceptible we are to some of these natural disasters? I mean, we got hurricanes, we got tornadoes, and we just had some big wildfires here as well.
Yeah, you're in the Mid-Atlantic region and you're an area you are hit by natural disasters, but we also have identified these criminal organizations move state to state where there is fraud that's occurring. Florida is also a large victim of contractor fraud. So these organizations don't stay just within state territorial or state boundaries. They are mobile. They're very fluid, traveling throughout the United States, looking for where there's been victims of catastrophic natural disasters and where the insurance industry is responding with teams like we have to help people rebuild their lives and also investigate crimes. But also those billions of dollars of money that goes into your communities to help rebuild those lives are being targeted by these fraudsters.
So how can you spot the good guys from the bad guys?
That's the hard part. These criminal organizations do everything to make them look like they're legitimate businesses. They'll have flyers they hand out. They'll have websites that look legitimate. They'll talk just like a legitimate contractor. But some telltale signs is look for the door-to-door sales that I'm going to be able to rebuild your lives within a day or two. That's just not factually true. That can't happen. It's going to take a process. They're going to say they're approved by FEMA or state organizations. Again, those lists don't exist within FEMA as well. Work with your insurance carriers to work with a verified contractor list that they are legitimate and they have active business license to operate in the Atlanta metropolitan region or the state of Georgia. But it's going to take a process and it's going to actually be fairly slow to go through to verify they're legitimate contractors.
How does their scheme work? Do they do any work at all, or do they get money up front and never show up?
It's a little bit of both. I wouldn't say if you've seen one scheme, you've seen one scheme. So we've identified criminal organizations that will get those initial cash down payments and show up for a day or two and then leave, or they'll get that cash down payment and then they'll never show up. So it's a little bit of both. But the ideology or the methodology or modus operandi is to get people to trust them, to pay money, and then move, and then leave and go to their next victim to try to leave as little bit of a trail as possible, an intelligence trail. And that's where myself, the National Insurance Crime Bureau, and our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners come into play.
Unfortunately, they're hitting people at their lowest points where they just need work done on their house. Maybe they need a hole in the roof repaired, and folks are looking to get things done immediately. What advice do you have for homeowners? I mean, is there any kind of preparation they could be doing now before disaster hits to ensure they're not taken advantage of?
There's a couple things, and the one is just make sure your insurance policies are up to date. You have replacement costs covered. Homes are worth more, and your goods, your property inside is worth more. So just make sure your policies are up to date. But what should you do? Key thing is start with your insurance carrier and ask them for a verified list of contractors. Help to get a verified list of contractors that actually have active licenses and positive referrals. Always get multiple bids. Go through the process. And the state of Georgia has excellent resources. Commissioner King has worked with our organization for years. We have embedded law enforcement officers and NICB agents in the state of Georgia to investigate those crimes. But go through the process to verify these are active businesses with licenses to operate in your state or within your city. That's a key component.
And unfortunately, this day and age, scammers, fraudsters, they're just rampant. It seems in every part of our lives. AI's making it easier to for the scammers to sell their fraud, and harder for us as the consumer to spot what's real and what's not. I guess, the question for you as we move forward is, if somebody has been targeted or scammed, because it could happen to any of us right now, do we have any kind of recourse?
You do, and it even happens in my own family. I have elderly parents in Iowa, and it seems like every time a weather event comes through, we have individuals knocking on their door to clean up their yard because they're disabled, they can't do it. And that's the sad part of these crimes. They really target the most vulnerable people that need help. And identifying these criminal networks, it requires to actually slow down a little bit, verify that they have legitimate businesses, investigating their licenses, working with the insurance carriers. And then if after the fact that you believe you've been a victim of a crime, contact NICB or local law enforcement, call 911 if they're on your property still. But unfortunately, they're targeting people when they're the most vulnerable.
David, thanks for shining a light on this and for all you guys do at NICB. Anything else you want to add that I'm missing today?
The key thing is, if you think you've been a victim or been approached by fraudsters, if they're on your property, call 911 so uniformed law enforcement can respond. We also have information on our website at nicb.org, where we have a toolkit on resources. You can also file a complaint, and we'll get it to the right law enforcement officers in all 50 states.
All right, David Glawe, timely topic with hurricane season right around the corner. We had those awful wildfires here in Georgia already, and tornadoes always a threat here. We appreciate your time today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.